Hey guys! So I got excited the other day and I went a little bit crazy buying books, and I wanted to show you some of the exciting things that I got. Hope you enjoy! So I got a large number of these books from either Book Outlet or Book Depository. So if you've ever watched a video on my channel before, you probably know that I am absolutely in love with Harry Potter. As you can see, I have about 3 shelves dedicated to those books. So when I saw that the new house-specific editions of the Chamber of Secrets were coming out, I went on Book Depository and just decided, since I was going to get one of those, to check out what other books they had. Previously, I had gotten the Gryffindor edition of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. It's pretty cool because it's black, it has the crest on the front, and it's got the sprayed pages that look like Gryffindor. But I'm not entirely Gryffindor. I always feel split between Ravenclaw and Gryffindor. When I got the opportunity to buy another book, I decided to buy the paperback edition of the Philosopher's Stone in the Ravenclaw, so it is entirely blue. It also has the crest. It also has special content on the inside that is specifically relating to your house. Now, I couldn't possibly order the Ravenclaw edition and not buy the new Chamber of Secrets that just came out. I'm gonna wait on the paperbacks until they go down in price, but I did buy the hardcover Gryffindor edition. It has the same red sprayed pages with the yellow in between, except this cover is red instead of black. Although when you do look closely, it is a different shade of red. My older one is not quite as bright as this one, if that matters to you. But if you look at the side, the stripes do match up. So it has now a Chamber of Secrets specific crest on the front and is still dedicated to your house. So now I have both of these to go on my shelf. At some point in the past, I found this boxed edition of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. It has the purple outer sleeve and the orange book. It has some really pretty detail on it. I don't even remember how I found it, but it has beautiful end pages, and I happened to see that they had the entire set in these boxed editions on Book Depository. And since I usually go back and forth between the Philosopher's Stone or Sorcerer's Stone and the Prisoner of Azkaban, I thought if I was going to get a second one that I should probably get the Prisoner of Azkaban. I can't possibly own every edition of every Harry Potter book, but I'm going to try. So I ended up with Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. It's my second box editions. The outer box in blue and the inner book is red. I like that the detail on it is the night bus, since it is the 3rd book. It has the same beautiful inside pages and the same text that you are used to for Harry Potter. So now I have a collection of 2 boxed books. Now, second to Harry Potter is my love for the Shadowhunter world. And I had read every single book except for one. An illustrated guide to notable Shadowhunters and denizens of Downworld. This is one that for a long time was only available on one website and was not very accessible. Finally, I found it on Book Depository. It was a reasonable price, and I'm so excited to be able to dive in to see all this extra information about these characters that people reference when they talk about familial ties and histories that I didn't know, because this is the one Shadowhunter book I had never read. Plus, look how beautiful this cover is. I am absolutely obsessed with this book, and I'm so happy to be able to add it to my collection. Although I've read this book more than once, I didn't actually own the physical copy of it, so I'm excited to have a Shadowhunter Codex in my library. Also, look at this art. I just love that you have all of these little writings and writings in between the pages that Simon and Jace and Clare were just talking about as you get to know more about the Shadowhunter world, and then you just have the funny quips from some of your favorite characters. As a huge fan of the Witchland series by Susan Dennard, I decided that I wanted to check out her first book series, which is Something Strange and Deadly. It was just a paperback, it wasn't that expensive, and I decided might as well give it a shot. So hopefully I get to read it soon and it's really enjoyable. The next book I have is The Last Magician. I really enjoyed the book when I read it, and since it's going to become a series, I thought it might be great to get my own copy of this book. This was one that I got from Book Outlet, so it didn't cost me much money, and I thought it would be nice to add to my shelf, especially if I am going to reread the book before the next book in the series comes out. I also recently received Onyx and Ivory from a Fairy Loot box, and so I'm really pleased to be adding it to one of my myriad fantasy shelves. I'm absolutely obsessed with Sabaa Tahir and An Ember in the Ashes, so of course when A Reaper at the Gates was coming out, I had to pre-order it. No surprise there. But then when I was on Book Depository, I saw the UK edition of the book, and I had to get that too. It's so different, obviously, than any of her editions that I've personally seen of her series, but it was just really striking and I wanted it. I have no explanation for it. It's a really pretty green book. So now I have 2 editions of Reaper. I also didn't get the UK version of Caraval, but I really loved the cover of it, and I love that underneath it had those surprise covers, and so I wanted to buy the UK edition of Legendary so that I could get one of those surprise covers underneath. So this is the UK edition of Legendary. Sadly, they did not send me a first edition, but that's okay. It's still a really pretty cool edition of the book, so I'm excited to have it. I also found this collection of Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children at the library. So I have Miss Peregrine's Home, Library of Souls, and Hollow City. I've actually never read these, but I've always had them on my TBR, so now that I own them, I have to get to them, right? I am a big fan of Star Wars, so when I saw this was on Book Outlet pretty cheap, I decided to buy it, and so I'm excited to read about Ahsoka. I've heard it's a really good book, so can't wait to get to it. I also really loved A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue when I first read it, and so when I discovered that Mackenzie Lee had written another book, I wanted to pick that up, and so I believe I also got this one on Book Outlet really cheap. And it's sort of inspired by Frankenstein, but sort of not, and I'm just really intrigued by the premise of it, and I cannot wait to get to read this. Finally, I have A Whole New World and Once Upon a Dream, which are part of Disney's Twisted Tales. Aladdin is my favorite Disney movie, hands down. And so I was so excited to dive into this and see how the author could, you know, change up the story that we know and love and make it our own. And honestly, I was just so disappointed by it because Aladdin, I felt, was relatively faithful to his character, but I felt like she completely destroyed Jasmine's character. It just did not feel like the Jasmine I knew. And even though I understand that people have to go through these trials and tribulations and overcome them to make it to the end of the story, it didn't feel like Aladdin, despite the fact that, you know, the first half of the book, the author was directly quoting lines from the movie. That didn't even redeem it enough to make me love it so much, but I love Disney and I love these covers, so I own them now. Hopefully the other ones in the series are better, because I also own Mulan, and Mulan is my second favorite but she's my favorite princess. So I'm hoping that it's the Mulan I know. I hope that it's the base character of Mulan that I know that shines through a story, even though it's a story I'm not going to be familiar with. Okay, so I don't know if I could pick a favorite book that I hauled, but I'm just gonna go with this, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, because I really love this book and I just think this is a really pretty edition of it. Although I do really like my Gryffindor edition of Chamber of Secrets. They're both Harry Potter wins things. I don't know if I can pick between these two for which is my favorite book in this haul, because I haven't read this yet. I don't know how amazing it is, but the cover is gorgeous and I already had to take a bookstagram of it. And then Harry Potter is always Harry Potter and it wins everything. So that was my random giant book haul from Book Outlet and Book Depository. I probably spent way too much money on them. I don't even remember at this point. I will leave links down below if you would like to check them out. And let me know what your favorite thing is in the comments down below. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Bye!